There are a few things that nearly every Bostonian have in common. Among them, a refusal to take 5 inches of snow or less seriously, a love-hate relationship with the tea, heavy on the hate, and a fierce opinion about the best coffee. Obviously, it's Dunkin' Donuts, I'm sorry. And at least one story about a run-in with a wild turkey in which their life may or may not have flashed before their eyes.
So I saw this giant turkey and I approached because I wanted to just take a picture of him and just look at him and admire his chunkiness. Didn't work. That bit me. That turkey feared no God and no man.
Don't even get me started, but there are also some who have grown to love the local bird, like this family.
You want this? Here you go. Whoop, look at that. Oh, there you go. There's some treats for you.
Our collective complex relationships with these creatures are the subject of a new film, Turkey Town, which airs Thanksgiving Day on GBH2 and is also available for online streaming for 30 days afterwards. And I'm joined by the filmmaker behind it, Aynsley Floyd. Aynsley, welcome so much. I have such strong feelings about turkeys. I'm so glad that you're here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Why turkeys?
Well, gosh, why not? Like you said, everyone has a story, right, about the turkeys. You can't live in Boston or the suburbs of Boston and not realize, how abundant they are. And, some people love the turkeys and others do not.
So I'm a Boston native. I grew up in Revere. I'm 61 years old, and I didn't notice turkeys until about maybe 10 years ago when I started working in Newton and Needham, and there were turkeys. And then I moved to Roxbury, right next to Roxbury Community College in Columbus Avenue, and I'm surrounded by turkeys all the time. I didn't have a collective amnesia moment where I forgot that there were turkeys when I was growing up. We didn't have any.
You're absolutely right.
What happened?
So turkeys were actually extirpated from Massachusetts in the mid-19th century. There were no turkeys at all, and that's because of habitat loss and also overhunting. So for almost 100 years, there were no turkeys in Massachusetts, and they were intentionally brought back by mass wildlife biologists who decided to correct the environmental mistake that they had made, or that had been made, and decided to capture some wild turkeys in upstate New York and bring them to Western Mass in the Berkshires. And that small number of turkeys, 37 to be exact, proliferated like crazy, and now we are in the situation we're in today.
And I want to, your film talks about the situation that we're in today, and the situation we're also in today with coyotes and with raccoons and with squirrels and with rats to some degree. We are all living on the same planet. And this is a success story, right, that the turkeys have come back, but it's not without its challenges. And I love that you examine, and I learned a lot. I mean, I love to hate turkeys. I've often said that if I ever become a full-blown vegetarian, I'm still going to eat turkeys because of how mean they are to me on a regular basis. But they're really a complicated animal. I'm just shocked that I never see more of them dead in the street because they are just so brave. Is that the right word?
I think bold is maybe the right word. Yes, turkeys are actually, surprisingly, despite their appearance, very smart. And they've adapted extremely well to living in suburban and urban areas among people. And as you say, you don't often see them dead on the road, although it does happen.
Right.
And it's because they've learned to navigate their way around us, and traffic is one of those things.
It's really amazing how adaptable they are, and especially, where I learned they lived in forests and they lived in trees, and now they're in Brookline on a regular basis, blocking people in ATMs and not letting them get out. Let's look at this woman from Barnstable. She has a very special relationship with her turkey. Her name is Lauren. Let's take a look at her relationship with her turkey.
This turkey came to me when she was just 1 day old. And I looked at the feet and I says, oh, that is so sad. They were all curled and all twisted. And we named it Waddles because, as you can see, it waddles when it walks. And I could see that she is not a turkey that is ever going to really be able to survive in the wild. You think there's a music lesson coming? I teach music lessons. She'll waddle in the house, come into the music area, and I'll say, okay, Waddles, up on the hassock, and she'll sit up there and she'll listen to the music lesson.
It's also fascinating to see them fly, which I see them in the trees around my house, but I don't often see them in the air. And it reminded me, it was Ben Franklin who wanted them to be our national bird, right? The turkey instead of the eagle. You also talk in the film with someone who's a hunter, but a hunter who is really invested in making sure he eats the food that he hunts and he hunts the foods that he eats. He had a lot of really interesting perspectives about turkeys.
That's right. I chose that hunter with great care,
Yeah.
because he is very philosophical about his hunting practice and how he consumes meat, the way he does so. He's given a lot of thought to it, and he's got an interesting perspective, I think, than a lot of hunters do.
How has the turkey changed the dynamic of the other animals in our region? I mean, I think, COVID definitely allowed the animals we're living with to come out more. I mean, I always say I knew things were tough when I saw a squirrel with a fully cooked lobster tail just walking down the street that we had all been eating at home and not going out. And I see coyotes on a regular basis. Have they just entered right back into the environment and the ecosystem, or has there been troubles along the way for them?
So the turkeys have benefited from our quarantine in COVID, just like many of the other animals that you mentioned. A lot of turkeys eat bird seed. So people who hang sort of bird feeders outside their home and the seed falls to the ground, that attracts the turkeys, and it's very nutritious food, and they thrive when they eat it.
Let's also throw another clip, because I know someone's at home saying I'm not being mean enough to turkeys. Let's talk about this Brookline woman. Take a look at this clip. She had an experience with a negative turkey.
We got in the ambulance and it started to go, and then it stopped. They said, "There's a turkey in the road." I lay there in pain while the ambulance drivers waited for the turkey to cross the road.
So you do give some advice in the film in Turkey Town about maybe how we should understand when a turkey is being aggressive, especially in the spring when it's mating time. If you feel threatened by a turkey, what do you think you should do?
So the reason turkeys are aggressive in the springtime is because their social order is that of a hierarchy. So when a turkey is aggressive towards a human, what they're trying to do is determine where they stand in relationship to you on that social hierarchy. So it's up to the people to let the turkey know that you're one rung ahead of the turkey on the hierarchy.
So turning and running, probably not the best idea.
No, absolutely not. That's what you shouldn't do.
Do you know if we talk about Brookline a lot because it seems that Brookline is kind of ground zero for a lot of human turkey interaction. Do you know if the police have started to become more turkey sensitive about how to answer calls?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I do know that the police have been called on numerous occasions.
Yes, I know people who have called them. Yeah. So
when they've attacked children on their way to school, or,
yeah.
or they break into people's homes, I mean, you name it. And I know that certain turkeys have been removed from the environment because they are aggressive. Mm-hmm. But before that happens, the animal's given every chance to live among us. It's only the ones who are persistently aggressive.
The hardcore offenders.
That's
like
right.
That turkey that was on the VFW Parkway a couple of years ago. I remember him. Rest in peace. That was by his own hand or feather that he went that way. So the overarching message, though, too, is we're all, again, we kind of started this way, but we're all on this planet. This is a success story. It comes with some negatives, but let's all figure out how to live together.
That's exactly right. I mean, we can live in harmony and in peace with each other, but the onus is on the people to change their behavior for the animals.
Yeah, we created this and hopefully bringing them back. But I learned so much, Aynsley. Thanks so much for joining us. And
my pleasure.
Have a great Thanksgiving.
You too. Thank you.
All right, remember, you can watch